It is actually on.
Tim, turn the light on. Tim,
I don't
turn
even
the
have
light
another
on.
one.
Hello,
That is the only
everybody.
light. That's literally the only light I've got. Sorry.
It's all right. Hello, everybody. Hi, welcome.
Hello.
This is a very, very special event, very special version of the Rugby Roundtable. Welcome. I guess a co-host tonight is my old pal Bruce Aitchison from Happiness is Egg-Shaped. How are you, mate?
Mate, I am fabulous. It is Friday. Thank Crunchy. And look at these people we've got down here. How famous are they?
Yeah, are you literally just pointing at Chris, aren't you? I can't see who you're pointing at.
I am proper fanboying tonight. As anyone might know, I'm a huge Harlequins fan, but they'll also know I'm also the biggest Chris Robshaw fan in the world.
Oh, here he is. Here he is. The Prince.
See, don't say that, because now the pressure's on me to say I'm the biggest Tim Visser fan in the world.
But you're not going to say that, are you?
That's a lie.
They've never been found, that person. I don't think.
I can see James Hall. James Hall has just joined us as well.
He's on the screen. Tim Visser's biggest fan is on the screen. It's not me. I'm guessing Sean's already said it's you. So, Chris, unless it's you, Tim Visser's biggest fan is... It's Tim Visser.
Thank you. Chris actually quite a big fan of me.
Yeah, I do like you, Tim. I enjoyed our time together.
Thanks, mate. I needed that.
I did.
I was going to say my other big fan has just joined us as well. James Hall said he was going to join us. And he's just come on. I can see he's watching us. He said he was going to put some horrible questions in. But I don't think he can.
That's great. Yeah, of course he can.
He can.
We'll even bring him up on the screen. Look, hello.
Oh, there he is. Oh. Australia captain and mayor of Brisbane.
That is quite a well-chiseled jaw.
It is. Large head.
So quickly, this is how big of a fan of Chris Robshaw I am, right? This is how cool this is. I have a pair of his shorts in my chest of drawers, which I bought at his testimonial event at the Sports Cafe.
Boxer shorts.
2016.
Boxer shorts.
Boxer shorts.
I reckon they went missing from
boxers, pants.
They went missing from the washing line at the back of his
washed.
gaff.
Oh no!
Never washed. Yeah. Actually, I bought some Joe Marler shorts from in my locker.
Okay, yeah.
The way you sell the stuff, and it did have a skid mark in it.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Going through that.
You know, Joe Marler for Mark Lambert's charity night for his testimonial sold one of his jock straps.
Oh.
Who buys that?
Not even washed. It was sold. It was sold. I don't know who bought it. And then the person
old man in Scotland, probably.
Like I'm not judging Joe Marler for that. I'm judging the person that bought it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Although I've heard that there are vending machines in Japan that you can do that kind of stuff. Although I've never been myself.
Like used underwear. How do you know this?
Who knows? Anyway, moving on. How good is it that we've got Tim Visser and Chris Robshaw on your round table?
I know. Round table. So normally, like for anyone that's never watched this before, probably James Hall has never watched this before. We talk to grassroots clubs and grassroots players about grassroots things, but how can you turn up an opportunity to speak to bloody Chris Robshaw and Tim Visser on a Friday night? How lucky are we?
Well, I reckon the two of them must be peddling something.
Wow, they've got to be, haven't they?
Well, we are here for a reason. Yeah.
Go on, then, Tim. Tell us what the reason is. Tell us what the reason is.
Well,
Tim.
If anyone still remembers Rugby Bash, I know you remember Rugby Bash. We hosted some events in Edinburgh for the Six Nations. Great turnout, had about 150, 170 people at the Gilly Doo, which was brilliant. Great event. We were going to build on it, and then boom, COVID hit. We had to close it. We had to cancel the second event. Lots of disappointed people. Mostly us, to be fair, because there was a lot of great beer brands involved. But we've decided to revive it. So what we've done is we've taken it virtual. We're going to take it onto StreamYard, giving fans the opportunity to watch the Six Nations games with people like Chris Robshaw, Ian Madigan, Jamie Roberts, Mike Brown. God name it, who else have we got?
The French fella.
Yeah, Benjamin Kaiser, Johnny Beattie. the list goes on. Some really amazing guys that have obviously been there, and they are going to preview the game. They're going to be there with you throughout the game, so they'll be live watching it. If you've got questions for them, they'll answer questions, give you insights. They'll review the game afterwards. But most exciting, well, what I'm most excited about is we're going to be sending out all these parcels ahead of this the game that you choose to participate in. And they're going to be filled with some fantastic things, most of all booze, obviously. This is obviously strictly 18 plus, but we've got Heineken on board, we've got Glenturret whiskey on board, we've got Snackfully on board for the snacks. Rex Club News are going to be doing beanies and hats, I believe.
Yes.
So it is good. There's some merchandise in there. But most of all, it's about the guys. It's the closest we can get to getting hospitality at a stadium. So, please, we urge anyone to sign up, join in, get ready in front of your laptop, watch the game with us. And we're doing 5 of them. We've selected 5 games, 1 of each round, and we're super excited about it.
So we're kind of like
Goggle box, isn't it?
We're like
It
the
will be a bit
mobile
like a Goggle box.
hairdressers of the rugby world. We are coming to your place. We're going to use your electricity. We're going to drink your cups of tea, but you get the company. That's what
Exactly.
that's what you get.
We're trying to get that back.
Do you need a host? I heard you might need a host.
We do need a host.
You know,
I think we might have a
one.
host.
He's bald though.
He is bald. There's not a lot of hair. I mean, he's got a face for radio, he said himself before.
Yeah. Hashtag face for radio.
Which that's not me, but that's apparently what he's described himself as. But he's got some great banter, mostly from a Scottish perspective.
Never made it onto the poster. Never made it on the poster. All the events I've done, never made it onto the poster.
Harsh, I'd say.
And you still haven't made it onto this one.
I know nobody knew I was on. My wife did. My wife's got no idea where I am.
Oh, no.
You told her you've got to work.
Chris, how what's it like being reunited with Tim? Did you think that you'd severed all ties when he moved back up here? You even decided to go to America to try and get as far away from him as possible, and now he's back.
You're not actually going to believe it, but I actually missed him. I haven't seen Tim in a long time now. He's one of those strange people where you see this person kind of on the TV or his personality, and people kind of probably get their backs up against him. But he's such a great guy, aren't you, Tim?
I'm such a good guy. And actually, we normally do an annual trip to Ibiza, which is obviously not happened either. But
we'll
you know,
play a
I'd
bit
love
of
to
golf
come and
together.
Play a bit of golf. I'd love to come and see you in America once it's all over.
How quickly did Chris Robshaw move from we usually go away to Ibiza together to we play golf together. We play.
They're golf trips over there.
Yeah, golf. Yeah, they're golf trips. Yeah. We don't bring the golf bags.
Well.
Yeah,
no, I do miss Tim. Tim was great for Quins, I think, and he's a great person to have around. Good character, I think you are, Bis.
Better
what
than
I used to enjoy about Tim the most was he would always be immaculately dressed on the pitch. His socks would be pulled right up, his shirt is tucked in, his shorts around his nipples, and he doesn't get a speck of dirt on him.
Nah, never dirty. I mean, to be fair, as a winger, if you get caught, you've done something wrong, I reckon.
How long did it take when you got that phone call? Quins are interested. Well, obviously you would ask all about the money, but how long did it take? How long did it take for you to make that decision about going to Quins?
Nah, not long. They offered me a contract. First of all, not actually. Against popular belief, I got a salary reduction from when I left the SRU. I earned less at Quins than I did at the SRU, and I wanted to leave Edinburgh at the time. I wanted to have a second go at the Premiership, but what really got it for me was Connor O'Shea at the time flew me down. We literally met at Heathrow, so I came out of the gate, met at the coffee shop there. And we had a chat at the time, and he was just, I mean, you'll know, Robbie, he was inspirational. The way he spoke was phenomenal, and something that stays with me until probably the day I die was, and you do not hear rugby coaches saying this. He said, we'd rather lose a game than don't believe in the way that we play. They were obviously a very attacking team, and they had this big, when I first joined, they had this big image of throwing the ball around almost anywhere, almost barbarian style. And that's changed now, and it probably had to change because it stopped working for Quins at one point. But there was such an attacking outfit, and you know what I was like. I wasn't a huge fan of defending. So that for me, that was, he was like, listen, we play from everywhere. We'd rather lose a game than just kick the ball away like Saris do all day long. And I literally, I said to my agent was there. I said, please, where can I sign this? We need to do this.
That's a long way to go for a cup of coffee, yeah? Remember those days? Remember those days when you could fly to Heathrow for a cup of coffee?
Oh, you wouldn't do that now.
They were the days. Chris, what, 6.5 or 7? 6, 6.5, 7?
I don't really mind. It was one of those things which...
No, don't give me that. I've always wanted to ask you 6 or 7. Come on. This is on the table, 6 or 7.
You know, on a serious note, I honestly don't. But as long as I'm playing and starting, it doesn't really bother me. For me, I never saw too much difference in the way I played. Some was running lines. But when we think of that, after we played France in that game, and obviously Eddie Jones had come into the England setup and said, look, England have only got 6.5. So after that Six Nations, we'd just beat France in a Grand Slam game in Paris. And James Haskell just came up to me and winked at me. And I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, just wait here a second. And he just came back. He'd got a kit man to make these 2 6.5 shirts. So we got Eddie Jones in the middle of us holding up the 6.5 shirt. And yeah, to be fair, Eddie took it quite well.
That was a brilliant picture.
I said, what would happen if we had lost? And he goes, those shirts would have been burned before we got back.
That's like up here. There's a manufacturer at the Borders that whenever Scotland get to that last game and there was the chance of the Grand Slam, they would make the jumpers on the Monday morning. This was before Tim Visser was Scottish. And they would get to the Monday and you'd be able to buy this limited edition Scotland Grand Slam jumper because they weren't Grand Slam winners because they'd been pumped in the last game on the Saturday.
Well, that was always like, a lot of people do that, and you always hear kind of tales that, they've got boxes of Grand Slam shirts and champagne and all this kind of stuff. And is it true, or is it just kind of extra motivation to see what they're coming here, they're prepared, they're celebrating already, all that kind of stuff. But you kind of have to prepare. And I remember after that game in France as well, Eddie was like, okay, guys, you can all go out and enjoy Paris and all that kind of stuff. So we went out, but they were like, look, no social media, kind of keep it under wraps, all that kind of stuff. And we go into this club in the middle of Paris. I can't remember where it was, but around the whole of the club, it had like an electrical banner saying, congratulations, England, Grand Slam champions, playing the national anthem, all this kind of stuff. And we were like, yeah, this isn't very incognito in the end, is it? But yeah, it was a good night out. Yeah,
quite a night out. So, Chris, how tough was it to make the decision to leave Harlequins and leave London, leave England?
Yeah, leave England. Yeah, for me it was huge. It's all I'd ever known. I came straight from school into Quins and been there 16, 17 years. I'm from kind of Surrey, southwest London. It's all I'd ever known. And to be fair, it was the only club I kind of wanted to play, especially when you're playing for England. I never really wanted to explore being abroad. England was my focus, and Quins as well. And then kind of the end of last year, at the beginning of this year, as a professional, I'm sure Tim knows as well, you just know in yourself, you know in your body, you know in your mind. And I just wanted to explore something abroad. I wanted to have that opportunity. And I speak to so many friends who have worked abroad, whether that be kind of normal jobs, so to speak, or people who have played rugby abroad. And they all say it's some of the best time of their lives. Those kind of 2-3 years having that opportunity. And
you've picked a pretty memorable spot too.
Yeah, and for me, rugby has been an amazing vehicle. It's taken me all over the world. And I wanted to see if there was an opportunity with it. I didn't necessarily know where I was going to go at the time. And for me, it's a nice fit. Look, I'm 34 years old now. They play kind of 16 to 18 games max a season. The season's only 6 months, so it allows me a bit of that kind of transition into whatever's going to happen next. And I love the beach. They say they kind of train in the morning and go do their recovery in the beach in the afternoon.
Not a bad life, huh?
Yeah, they told me they were getting surfing, all this kind of stuff. And
that's why Tim moved back up to Edinburgh when he finished playing. Yeah, I love the beach, so I'm going to move back to Edinburgh.
I mean, there is beaches here, but they're literally plastic.
Oh, come on. Portobello Beach, Costa del Portobello. It's magnificent down there. It's magnificent down there. Tim, playing for Scotland against England at Twickenham, that must be decent even for a Dutchman.
Yeah, really good. I can't say I've been hugely successful down there, but it is very good. I've played at Twickenham, a number of times with Quins as well. Big game, having almost 90,000 people there for a club game that is unbelievable. I still don't know how they did it. It was a fantastic occasion, the couple of times that I got to play in that. But with Scotland against England, that's war. That's a war zone. You go down there, and it's weird because especially later on when I was playing at Quins, and I play with Scotland against England, kind of over the road from what my home is. And it's really weird because somehow after being back up in Scotland for 2 weeks and getting back into that Scottish mentality, suddenly we do hate the English. They are a bunch of assholes. It's crazy. It's crazy because and then I'm like, well, hold on. Some of these guys I play with, they're really good fun. And I'm texting Mike Brown in the background going, "Oh, we're coming for you," kind of thing. But we've not done. When I was there, we didn't do particularly well. There was one game where this is I think 2017 Six Nations potentially. We were going really well with Scotland. We'd won our first couple of games, and England were struggling. They were winning, but they were struggling. And this was under Eddie. They'd just kind of come off that high of, I think it was off the back of your Grand Slam, and you were kind of coming off a high. The media started going, "Oh, this and that," and they've got a real chance of getting down there.
You believed the hype, didn't you?
I was going to say, Chris just burst out laughing when you said
it's not
the media
even
there.
necessarily that.
It was wonderful. I was injured. I'd done my shoulder, but I could just see everything. England had just played. I think they may have played Wales or something, just one, or someone, or Italy. Yeah, not played well.
Italy,
and it was that Halloween.
Tactics.
Yeah, but they just kept going around the ruck.
All the media just kept hammering Eddie. They hammered England and they hammered them and just said, "What are they doing? They're terrible, terrible." And knowing Eddie, knowing the team, he just would have been poking them for 2 weeks, just poking them, saying, "This Scottish team." And all the press was about how good Scotland are, how amazing they are. They're playing the best rugby they've ever played.
I helped out with that a little bit because I did the press conference midweek and I'd been speaking to the England boys and Mike was like, "Yeah, we're not going that well," kind of thing. We're just trying to figure out blah, blah, whole story. And the Scottish press were like, "Oh, what are your Quins teammates like down there? Are they confident?" And I stupidly said, "Well, actually, they're not as chirpy as they normally are. I think they're a bit worried." Next minute, the headline the next day, Tim Visser says Scotland are going to pump England, right? I'd obviously never said that, but also I'd never read that. So anyway, we're in the game, and it was Brown. A hooker got red carded, I think, very early on.
3 minutes, wasn't it? Or something?
Yeah, very early on, which completely changed our line-out defense, but the backs hadn't picked up on that. So anyway, England do all these sort of those breakouts from the maul around the line out, and they literally pump straight through us, and they come through the middle of 10 and 12 or 13, and it's a 2-on-1. They come and they score, and as Jonathan Joseph scores, Ben Youngs runs past me and mouths something at me, but really angry, and then goes and he said something like, "Yeah, they'll fucking teach you with your big mouth." And I had no idea what he's talking about because I didn't even read the papers. I was like, "What the hell?" And he was shouting. Someone else ran past me and bumped me. I think it was Brownie. Brownie said something horrific. And literally, it was only afterwards where in the actually, it got worse because the score line was like cricket score at the end. And I'm literally, Danny comes on, Danny scores, and I'm standing there under the post, and Brownie is just smiling at me and giving me a load of shit. And anyway, afterwards, in the after-match dinner, Brownie goes, why did you do that in the press? Why did you set yourself up for a fail? Why did you say all these things?" I was like, "Mate, what are you talking about?" And he goes, "Mate, look at this." And literally, it had been blown up to A3 format, and it was hanging in the England team room. Tim Visser, Scotland are going to pump England, all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh God, I never even said that. But yeah, good lesson on how to speak to the media, I guess. Yeah. Painful.
But I think with that as well, though, that's why people are like, oh, why don't players say more? Why don't sports people give more of an insight about actually how they're feeling these games? Are they really confident? Because if you say something like that, you're going to get in that change room and it's going to be there and it's going to be in every single one of their rooms and all that kind of stuff. And it's just motivation you don't really want to give. And if it doesn't work, like Tim says, it's a long way back.
Chris, give us your best Eddie Jones impression of what you're going to do to Tim Visser when he's mouthed off. Go on, give us an Eddie. Go on, you must be able to do an Eddie.
Does he have to say much? Does he have to say much if he's got that big the blowout of the headline? Does he have to say much at that point?
Oh, but I love it when they do the Eddie Jones impressions.
Good, mate. Good. That's what he said. In training, good, mate. That's good. Like that's what we need. More of that, mate. Yeah. Also, when you get Hallwell on, is Hallwell doing one? Because he had Eddie Jones when he first went to is it Queensland? Yeah, Brisbane. Queensland.
Yeah, the Reds. Yeah,
and he says,
"Yeah, I know this story."
Eddie has calmed down a little bit, I think, but I think he's still very intense. Exactly. If you think he's calmed down, imagine what he was like kind of 10 years ago when he was with Queensland. And Hallwell says he's never seen anything like it. I think they lost. They got pumped in one game, didn't they? They got absolutely pumped. I can't remember what the score, but it was big. And he just says, the rant he gave him.
I made them all sit on the changing room floor. He's like, that's where you guys belong. He's like, sit on the floor.
The story.
James Hallwell, 2 meters, like sitting on the floor.
Matt Gitto tells a story. Was he not in Aussie camp? And it was his 21st birthday, and Eddie Jones said to him, "Don't you go drinking, mate? Don't you go drinking?" And then they announced it was his birthday. And he went, "Hey, have a beer, Gitz. Hey, Gitz, have a beer." So Gitto's going, "Hang on." He's told me privately I'm not having a drink, and now he's offering me a drink in front of the whole crowd, just messing with people's minds.
Fern Cotter used to do similar stuff. Fern Cotter, we were in World Cup camp pre-15, and David Denton, who's a really good friend of mine, isn't the fittest of guys. He's a big unit, he's quick, he's powerful, but he's not that fit. And so everyone got split into these groups, and he was in the Get Fitter group. I was in the Get Faster group. The props were in the Get Stronger group, whatever. He was in the Get Fitter group, which basically meant that he had fitness every day, which is painful. And he was doing a yo-yo test, which he had to get level 17 for or something like that, which for him is pretty spicy. And he gets to level 16, and he is hanging, like he's hooped. He is struggling. And Vern Cotter, I was there. Vern Cotter just stands on the side and goes, Dent, just go inside, mate. Just don't even worry about it. Just go inside. It doesn't even matter. And Dent's like, oh, do I just stop? Do I just stop? Do I go inside? And then he stands still and he goes, mate, get on with it. Get on with it. And he starts going again. It's like awful.
The power of a coach. The power.
Talking of coaches then, big week at Harlequins this week with Paul Gustard leaving. Obviously, you probably can't say how they're feeling in camp, but how much will that affect the boys going forward? And can they look forward to perhaps someone coming in at the end of the season?
It's obviously a huge decision. Get rid of the coach kind of not even halfway through. What is it? Probably a third of the way through the season. Yeah. Trying to speak to some of the boys or some of the coaches there to get a bit more of an insight. But I don't know, BSU fans. I think that everyone's been quite close-lipped.
I knew there was stuff brewing because I think the thing with Gustard is, and I thought he was a phenomenal coach. He did not think I was a phenomenal player, but I thought he was a really good coach. He didn't like me. He had a good look at me and he went, nah, this is not going to work. But I thought he was phenomenal in the way he spoke to the players and the way he spoke to people individually. I thought he was like world class, and the way he was shaping that team with the intensity, and I think intensity is the right word, is unparalleled. He was non-stop. In the middle of the night, you would get texts about an academy game the next day. He was in your ear, in your face, non-stop. And I think the problem with that is that when it goes well and when you're winning, that's amazing and people buy into it. But when you're on a losing streak, as Quins, they haven't been doing that well recently. I think they're sitting 7th in the league now, and your coach is giving you a midnight call because you've got an A-League game the next day. You're not going to be wanting to hear that, are you? So I think that's probably where it's gone wrong a little bit. But it's really unfortunate because he was doing really good stuff with Quins.
And I think, like Tim says there, his presentation skills were better than anyone I've ever seen in terms of getting messages across in different ways. Just being, say you didn't understand defence or didn't understand the system, he would go away and study the type of person you are and look at different ways of getting a message. Whereas a lot of coaches would just, if it doesn't work, they'll just shout it louder and louder and louder. And if you still don't get it, well, off you go. But he'll go away and research.
Well, you know, you're back up in Scotland. He was amazing. He was amazing. I remember we had a game against a French team, and the whole thing that week was to chop them low because they were big boys. Chop them low, get Robbo over the ball, and we'll be kind of fine. And on the Friday before the game, we're all sitting there in the team room, and suddenly this waiter table comes in, right, with this silver bowl over the top. You know, when you get room service, it was like that. And we're all like,
no, not as rich as you guys.
No. Anyway, you're like, what?
Premier Inn.
And like, people have no idea. And Gustard walks in full chef's outfit. He's got the whole shebang on, the chef's hat on, like everything you can find. And he's got his big fuck off, there are my fingers, big fuck off knife in his hand, right? So everyone's like, oh no, what the hell is this? And he pulls the cover off, and there's this massive live bullfrog under there. So he's got some film company to come in and bring this massive frog, you know, like the big toad, whatever it is. Like, this doesn't do it justice. It was huge. And he's like, right, what do the French like? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, frogs, like the froggies. He's like, what do we do? What do we do with the with their legs? And then someone, I think it might meet me. I chop them off. And he goes, right, shall I chop them off? And yeah, chop them off. I was really into it. He's like, no, weird bastard. We're not actually going to chop him off. But like, that's the kind of stuff he would do. He was really into it.
At that point, though, when I think Biss or someone had said, chop it off, you should have seen the people who were looking after this frog. Who pulled out this knife, figuring, what the hell? This is like our stage frog or whatever it is.
Expensive animal.
But yeah, like he always has different things like that to get his message across, and it was brilliant.
Who
would you like to see come in? If anyone
I'm
was
not there
available,
anymore, to be honest. It doesn't.
That ship has sailed.
But you're still a fan, though. You're still a fan.
No, of course, yeah, I'm still a fan, and there are so many good coaches out there. You could bring anyone. I mean,
what about that Crusaders coach?
Robinson. Yeah, look, I mean, he's got a pretty good track record, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But you say that about a lot of
brand.
Who wants to come? Who wants to fit? Is it about fitting a brand? Is it about evolving the brand? Is it about a transition of players? Is it about kind of moving things on? And I think for me, with Quins at the moment, I think this team is, yes, there's a number of experienced people, but they've got a lot of young guys who are probably 1 or 2 years away from being serious players.
So as you were in 2009, 2010.
Yeah, and they're all very good players, but I think as you come through the system, and as Tim will know, you just get that little bit of toughness, you get that bit of mentality, you've been around, you know what it takes. But it's not just going around, it's going around and winning away at someone like a Bath or Gloucester, which they have done this year, which are tough places to go. And then it's building confidence in that. And it does take a bit of time. People think you can flick a switch like that and things change drastically. And sometimes when you get a new coach come in, sometimes things do change because you get a spike. Just because you get an instant reaction, people want to impress. It's fresh.
Short term, though, isn't it? Normally,
yeah, exactly. It's short term. But to build on these things, it does take a bit of time.
I could talk to you guys.
Looking ahead to the Six Nations, let's see, Tim, who's going to be the Scottish player to carve it up at Twickenham?
God, I would love for it to be Cam Redpath. That would be a fantastic story, wouldn't it?
Is he written below you, his name?
He's gone to train with England, and then next minute he's up in Scotland wearing the thistle. I think it's a brilliant story. I mean, I would. But
didn't Gary Graham do that as well?
Yeah, he did. I was reading about that today. He was with you guys for a bit, and he said some pretty choppy things in the media before he actually then ended up with Scotland the year after. Who would I like to see rip up? Duhan van der Merwe would be good. Obviously, a bit of a story there with him going to Worcester. I mean, I think Darcy Graham is a brilliant little pocket rocket. He's phenomenal. Stuart Hogg. For me, I'm obviously just naming all the back three players, but James Lang, if he gets a chance to play, I'm good friends with James. It'd be great to see him do well, especially at Twickenham. And I think Jamie Rich and Hamish Watson, I think they're both outstanding at the moment. And I would like to see them deliver it again on the highest level.
Jamie Ritchie's a bit of class. So James Lang is coming to Edinburgh. I take it somebody's been in touch with him to sort him out a flat, have they?
Yeah, maybe one or two.
Yeah,
I've been speaking to him. I've been speaking to him quite a bit recently. Obviously, great. I mean, it makes sense, I think, for everyone. He is now captured by Scotland. He's played for Scotland a number of times. It makes sense for him to be at a Scottish club. I think as a young talent like him, there is no better place to play for Scotland than to be in Scotland. So I think it's a great move. And same for Quins. With all the incentives you get for English qualified players, it just, I guess, didn't make that much sense for him to be down there anymore, especially now he's increased in value.
Yeah, I think so. And I think realistically, he was probably behind Andre and Paul Aziki in terms of powerful. I think with Paul Day, one of the big 12, not so much playmakers, but more physical. And with going up to Scotland, it gives him, like you said, a great opportunity to establish himself as a first choice in the Scottish side. And it shows credit, I think. It shows he wants to do it. It shows he doesn't want to be one of those players playing out the country. It shows he's willing to go up there and fight for a place. And look, it's a shame for Quins because he's a great guy. He's a bit of a strange guy. He's a great guy to have around.
That's coming from me.
I think he'll do well.
He's a weird guy. He's a weird guy.
Nice. I'm not bothered about asking Chris about England because
I'll do it then. I'll do it. How many points are we going to put on Scotland then, Chris?
Who is this guy?
I don't know. It's not going to be as one-sided as I think you look at the last couple of games against Scotland, where Scotland have won and Scotland they drew that game, that epic game at Twickenham, which England. It would have been Scotland's greatest game if they had managed to hold on to that, I think. From a neutral point of view, it's incredible rugby. I think from watching Scotland now, they have that kind of physical side, but they're playing good rugby. I think now they're actually going out there to win and attack and stuff. I like their back row. I think Hamish Watson and Jamie, what's his name? The other guy? Jamie Ritchie with the tape. I think they're two incredible flankers. I think they're brilliant. They're abrasive. They're competitive.
Incredible work rate.
Trying to tackle kind of Hamish Watson, and it's just like you hit a rock. He just keeps going. He's low centre of gravity. He's good over the ball. They're getting stronger and stronger every year. And I think this year, I think England are going to win the game. But I don't think it'll be as one-sided as people think.
Perfect. What a way! I think that's the perfect way to end, isn't it? England winning. And but Tim,
no, it's not the perfect way to finish.
How is that?
Right. For this side of the screen, it is. For this side
exactly.
That side, not so much. Tim, give us the rundown on Rugby Bash again. Where can people buy their ticket?
Legends in your living room. Join us virtually to get a preview of the game. We've got some great names: Jamie Roberts, Chris, Johnny Beattie, Mike Brown, Nick Easter, I forgot to mention, Ian Madigan. There's a great list of boys. They're going to be interactive with you throughout the game. We're going to have the big bald guy above me is going to be hosting, which is fantastic. And there's going to be some great parcels being sent out to your home with some fantastic goodies, booze, and snacks.
Excellent. Head to rugbytools.co.uk. Find out all of the information there. Buy your tickets. It's going to be a great event. Looking forward to watching it with you guys. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure, absolute honour to have two absolute legends come onto my show.
Whoa! Two?
Well, three. You've been here. You come here more often than I do. I've done 30 of these, and he's been on 5 of them.
Jesus
really?
I'm running out of guests. But absolute pleasure. Look, I really appreciate it. Robbo, good luck in San Diego, mate. It's gonna be a hell of a journey. You'll be able to watch that on YouTube. They show their games on YouTube, so you'll be able to watch that for free over here. And if you've never watched Major League Rugby, it's absolutely phenomenal. absolutely phenomenal. So get out there and go and tear it up. And Tim, thank you, mate. Thank you very much, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thanks for having us. Cheers.
Absolute pleasure. Well, I'll see you on the day when we press all the buttons and make everyone very happy.
Beautiful. Cheers.
Everyone's been watching the Philly Boots Rugby Roundtable. Thank you very much. Go and buy your tickets for Rugby Bash. Cheers. Good night.